This video is about solving absolute value equations. And so I've just picked a few examples for us to do. First, let's talk about the term absolute value. Absolute value simply means the absolute value of a number means how far is that number from zero. So for instance, if we have the absolute value of x is equal to 3, you ask yourself, what number is 3 units from zero? So I like to think of a number line. If this is 0, 3 is obviously 3 units from 0. And -3 is also 3 units from 0. So we don't care which direction. We just want to say which numbers are 3 units from 0. So when you're solving an absolute value equation, if you have the absolute value of x is equal to some number a, where x can be just x, or x can be an expression of x, something like 2x minus 1 is equal to 4, something like that. Then if you have the absolute value of x is equal to a number, when you take off the absolute value symbol, you remove them carefully and it forms 2 equations. One is, this will be true when x is equal to a, or when x is equal to the opposite of a. And that is where a is a positive number. If a is ever a negative number, there's no solution to that, because absolute value is a distance. There's no number that is negative distance from 0. You can have 0 distance from 0, that's when it equals to 0 itself. But if you have the absolute value of x, let's just think about that, is equal to -4, there's no number we can come up with where it's going to equal to -4. So that doesn't make any sense, and in that case there'd be no solution. All right, so here are a few examples we're going to look at. Number 1 is this. Number 1 is, let's solve the absolute value of 7x is equal to 5. This has isolated the absolute value expression equals to 5, so we'll remove the absolute value symbols and we'll get 2 equations. This will be true when 7x is equal to 5, or when 7x is equal to -5. And then we will simply solve for x. Divide this side by 7, and this is true when x is 5/7. Divide this side by 7. This will be true when x is -5/7. So we got 2 answers here, this one and this one. Here's another example, example 2. Let's solve this one. What about when the absolute value of x minus 7 is equal to 4? All right. This will be true when we remove the absolute value signs. We get 2 equations. This will be true when x minus 7 is equal to +4, or when x minus 7 is equal to -4. We'd solve this equation for x by adding 7 to both sides, and then we'll get 7 plus 4 is 11. Or we'll add 7 to both sides. This will be true when x is equal to 3. Plus 7 is all we did right there. And we added plus 7. We got these 2 answers for example number 2. Here's example 3. If we have to solve, let's say, something with a fraction in it. Okay, here we go. The absolute value of 1/3 x minus 4 is equal to 13. This will be true when you take off the absolute values, when either 1/3 x minus 4 is equal to 13, or when 1/3 x minus 4 is equal to the opposite of 13. We will solve these 2 equations. First, we will add 4 to both sides, and we get 1/3 x is equal to 13 plus 4, which is 17. And then we will solve both sides we'll multiply both sides by 3 to kill this fraction, times 3 times 3. And so we get x, because we get here, this will give us a 1, right? 1 times 1 over 1 times 1 is 1 times x, is equal to 17 times 3. I don't know what that is, so let me just multiply that. 3 times 7 is 21. This is 3. This is 51. All right, over here we will add 4. So we get 1/3 x is equal to -13 plus 4 gives us -9. Then to get to x, we need to kill our fraction by multiplying both sides by 3. 3 over 1 goes into 1 over 3 one times. This is just going to give me 1 times x, or x. And over here we get negative 9 times 3, or negative 27. These are the two answers that we get to number 3. Now I'm going to make some more room on my board and do 2 more examples, and we'll be done with this one. Let's see. Here is example 4. Goes like this, number 4. All right, it says when, let's solve this guy. The absolute value of 3x plus 1 minus 4 is equal to negative 1. Okay, so the way we can solve this is if we have some expression of x is equal to some positive number a. That's not what we have so far, but this is what this absolute value of x is, and it's not isolated. So if we have to isolate this, we need to add 4 to both sides. So we get the absolute value of 3x plus 1 is equal to, we add 4 and add 4, we're going to get 3 right there. Now this looks like this, and we're ready to remove the absolute value and get our 2 equations. So let's do that. Take off the absolute value. We get 3x plus 1 is 3, or 3x plus 1 is negative 3. And solve each of these for x. So we'll subtract 1, and we get 3x is equal to 2. Divide both sides by 3, we get x is equal to 2 over 3. We subtract 1. We divide both sides by 3, and we get x is negative 4 over 3. So these are the 2 answers for example 4. Last example, example 5, goes like this. What if we have 9 minus the absolute value of x minus 2 is equal to 7? All right. We are not ready to apply this rule yet. The first thing we have to do is make it look like this form. We have to isolate, get by itself on one side of the equation, the absolute value term. So how we do that is we first subtract 9 from both sides, minus 9. So we get negative, the absolute value of x minus 2 is equal to negative 2. And there's a negative 1 right here. It's not fully isolated until we take care of that negative 1. So we'll divide both sides by negative 1. A negative divided by a negative is a positive. This is going to give us 2. And now this is in this form, and now we're ready to apply that rule. So let's do that. Remove the absolute value marks, and we get x minus 2 is 2, or x minus 2 is negative 2. And we solve for x. We're going to simply add 2 to both sides. We get x is 4. Add 2 to both sides. Plus 2 will give us x is 0. And these are the 2 solutions that we get for this equation. There is one case, there's a case that we can get where we get no solution. Let me just show you that real quick. If we had some expression, let's say the absolute value of x minus 3 is equal to negative 2. There are no numbers we could get in here that's going to give me an absolute value, a distance of negative 2. So if you ever get this, the answer is no solution. So here is something else you might come across. What if they say, when is the absolute value of x plus 7 equal to 0? All right, you can follow this rule, but here's the deal. When you have something equals to 0, 0 doesn't hold a sign. It's not positive, it's not negative, it's not either one. It's just 0. So you can remove the absolute values and get x plus 7 is 0, or x plus 7 is negative 0, but that's just 0. And you only get one answer in this case, and both of these equations will be true when x is negative 7. So that's kind of all the situations you can come across there.